Welcome to CathyDSlaught's SRC4u Zoom call for September 27, 2021. We're here on CathyDSlaght.com. This is her website. We're going to scroll up so you can see what the top looks like. And then we're going to scroll down, and what we're going to do is we're going to look for this Zoom banner. And then we're going to click here. If you'd like to be part of the client list, you can register here and sign up. It's a monthly fee, but we're going to click here. This is going to open up the Zoom app where I'm going to agree, and the meeting will be in progress.
Well, it's 10 o'clock. Let's get started. Glad everybody's here and hope everybody had a good weekend. I'm going to, today, I'm going to do two panels for us today, and I'll show you why in a minute. But we're working on the brain, and it dawned on me, we're working on the brain, and, but of course what we want to do, and we're going to be going into conscious languaging more, which probably most of you already have an awareness of. We've got some good cocktails, but this week we're going to add to them a little, and I actually tested all these to see their power, and these are powerful cocktails, and you should have them all loaded up, but, I got to thinking, even with all that, we want to focus on what we want, and I thought I would give my daughter an opportunity to see me getting crazier even on a new level. So I kind of changed this a little bit. This is our intention statement, and I'm going to, of course, send this out at the end of the call, and I would really appreciate some tweaking with different who are inspired to do something. This is just a start, but I wrote, I now acknowledge that I am equipped with a powerful CPU, the brain, capable of pulling in the infinite wisdom of the universe. With this awareness, every day my love for all of God's creation grows deeper and stronger. I am so grateful to see clearly that the people of planet Earth are all one, and that together we have transformed the world to a state of joy and abundance. My body's self-healing ability is fully activated, so I am now free of all limiting patterns related to physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being. I am so blessed to express the freedoms that allow me to choose the reality I joyfully create so I can serve God and my fellow man in the highest and best way. And it would be interesting if we, perhaps, this is just a thought, started putting this in as our primary situation. In other words, we focus on what we want, even though we want to clear whatever stress is necessary to clear. And apparently a lot of people were familiar with Dr. Amen. I really wasn't. I somehow had missed all that. So I'm putting things together that I'm learning. It's interesting. And but that's the biggest focus. And let's just now, because we're going to move on in a second to something else, let's just do a wonder click and see what we come up with. Okay, and again, it's all subtle energy. See a little stress related to the spleen, yang organs. There's a little spiritual disharmony. Oops, let that scan. And then in this, oops, get back up there. This phlegm comes up a lot.
Yeah, I question that.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning. And by the way, everybody, Deborah Jones has entered the room, and she is now a celebrity. She said I could say this. She took part over the weekend in a little rally for just sovereignty, not against anything, just for the freedom of choice regarding the vaccine.
Yeah.
And she wanted to just do it her daughter wouldn't be very pleased with her, so she really didn't want her daughter to know. But then it was on the news, and now it's on Rumble. So she got some notoriety from her little assertion of her sovereignty.
Yay, Deborah!
I'm telling you.
Good for you, Deborah.
Yes.
Congratulations, Deborah.
Yes.
My first time ever.
Yay. Love it, love it, love it. And
Cathy, you sent me something, a 3-minute thing of a doctor put in Orange County at the city council or something, really slamming the constitutionality, et cetera, of the vaccine and how bad, I mean, not the vaccine, the mask and how
yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, that absolutely. I'd be happy. I may put that in our notes today because it's just 3 minutes. But I'll tell you, I don't know if any of you have tried this or not, but I have offered to personal friends that are very in favor of the vaccine, let's do this. Let's get together and set the timer on the stove for 10 minutes. You talk for 10 minutes. I won't say one word. But when you're done, I get 10 minutes. You know, to date, nobody will take me up on that. I even said we can do it the next day. Let me talk first, and then you take a day, and you come back. They won't do it. That's the darndest thing I've ever seen. These are intelligent people. They actually don't know why and what. They have no confirmation of what they're telling other people as to whether or not it's legit. And it may be there. You know, that's the true definition of science. You take what you don't believe in, and then you search to prove it's wrong, which may mean that you end up learning it's right. Anyway, so I love it, that Deborah, that you did that. If there's anything around here, I'm going to do it too.
And the thing about it is it's like the butterfly effect. Deborah starts it, and there's other people too, but again, it's everybody pitching in, and then it creates that snowball effect. And then also, remember when we were at Grandmaster David's house, and we were talking about the miracle mats, and he talked about the phlegm. It starts with the phlegm. I can't remember it off the top
Yeah,
of my
there's a
head.
lot we want to do on that. I'm hoping that we can get Grandmaster as a guest soon. He says he's going to do it. I'll sure let everybody know way in advance. But yeah, we need to get into that phlegm subject. Now here you see, again, the Wonder Click can take care of this stuff. We're going to go a little deeper just because we can. But you can see we're very focused on the adrenals at this moment in time. It's all flowing energy, multiple meridians. All elements. Defensive action, control, and here we go to projection, coping. Stress factor is summer heat, in other words, inflammation. Now this we're going to talk a little bit more down the road about these words to ponder, because one of the things that stresses our brain is all these thoughts that are going on and on and on and on that we aren't even aware of. So words to ponder in the middle zone. I'll try being nicer if you'll try and being smarter. Then over here, words to ponder. Ever notice how irons have a setting for permanent press? I don't get it. Well, I don't get that words to ponder, but regardless, there we are, isolated to incorporation. And that kind of goes with what Joanna was saying. When we all work together, we have power even on our own. One little thing is very powerful. The example Kevin gave of the child who simply gave unconditional love to that little flower growing out of the crack in the sidewalk, the influence that had on even galaxies. We're looking at forgiveness, and yet at this moment in time, the conscious is infuriated. Subconscious criticism, again, things we're working on to clear that stress.
I sent Cathy a video. We were talking about it last night, about between the shoulder blades and somewhere between the cranial and the shoulder blades, there's a location on your back. Has anybody heard of that, where if you press it, or anyways, it has to do with all the knowledge that you bring forth, and we each have it. Has anybody heard of that?
No.
Yeah, you know, we come very powerfully equipped. I did watch that, and it is possible that, and of course, it didn't give a real good clue, but they talked about actually pressing a part of the head and bringing that forth. I doubt it's that much of a quick fix, but we are powerfully equipped.
They mentioned The Matrix, the movie The Matrix, and I couldn't get through it. There was something about it, but they mentioned The Matrix, and where, I forgot the gentleman's name, but they put a plug in the back of his
Exactly, yeah.
neck, and that's where it's supposed to be located.
Well, I will tell you, the movie The Matrix is one of the things that changed my life. I have a thing. I don't have any TV now. I haven't for many years. But even when I had it, I did not watch daytime TV because I had a babysitter that just sat in the midst of a dirty house and sat all day and played crossword puzzles and watched TV. So something about TV on in the daytime, it just doesn't go for me. But back when I got into the QXCI, I still was doing real estate to support myself, and I got a call one day at an open house, and this was a friend who absolutely chewed me out for doing the QXCI, chewed me out, and said, "What a mistake you're making. Your name is known in real estate. You're blowing your entire career. I'm going to loan you some money to get back on your feet." Well, I came home kind of dejected, and so turned on the TV and came to the very beginning of the movie The Matrix. And when I finished watching that, I said, I'm continuing what I'm doing. And shortly thereafter, quit the real estate. So I will never forget that, because I think that had a lot of truth in it as to how we're used energetically. But anyway, we're going to add a new cocktail today. And I just want to go over some of these things. This is from Dr. Emmons' book. And it's going to be on blood flow, which seems to be, you know, the essential. And just a few of the codes we have here. Blood flow, exercise is apparently essential. The weight takes its toll. Nydia is going to like this one. You don't want over 2 cups of coffee a day. The video gaming, also very actually bad for your blood flow. And they're talking about limiting your children, or even if you yourself are doing it, limiting.
Excuse me, since you mentioned my name.
Yes.
If you have to have coffee, you have to have it organic, and 1 cup a day is sufficient.
Yes, I agree. What I'm going to do my best. I do have one in the morning, and I like to have one in the afternoon. I'm going to do my best after looking at this, because the blood flow is the whole deal. Here's a few things that, and one of the things he mentions, which I think sure makes a lot of sense. You've got these different things here, which, you know, we're looking at the stress related. We're just looking at that. But one of the things some of us do is we think we can get along without going to the doctor. And if we need medication, we need to take it. And in my case, for the moon, I went on medication until I figured out what was going on. I'm not on it now, but I think maybe a number of us think, well, we don't need that medication, and it's very, very likely we do. We want 5 or better glasses of water a day, sleep 7 to 8 hours a night. Now, this is the other thing, meditation, 20 minutes, even 10 minutes, 10 to 20 minutes of prayer or meditation a day is amazing for blood flow. So I don't know if anybody else in here has trouble sitting quietly, but I know I got a pair of prayer beads from Joanna, and I started working with whatever code most resonated, and I find I can do that. I can go through that prayer bead and just recite the code and keep my concentration. So I got to thinking, I want to show you this. I did a grab a voice scan. I thought, well, I will just see if there's a priority for our for the group. And the very top thing is authorized by heaven, which I found interesting since we had just done that intention statement that we are very equipped to pull in what we need. So then I went, this is kind of what I do for myself. I went to the dowser to see the benefit of chanting that code, and it's 95%. So if anybody gets a wild hair today, and in a minute we'll go over the rest of this list, my theory is, what could it hurt? What I have found is if you can text yourself your code, or you've got it with you. If you're driving, say it. If you've got mala beads or prayer beads, or you want to douse it in or whatever, the old philosophy, what can it hurt?
Excuse me, Cathy.
Yes.
When you go back to the prayer and meditation,
Yes.
I read this and I cannot remember the source, but it said that prayer is your conversation to the Lord, and meditation is his answer. I just thought it was beautiful.
Thank you. Yes, that is wonderful.
Yeah, that's what I say. Listening to God. Meditation is listening to God, and prayer is talking.
Yep. So anyway, a few other codes. This exercise just continues. Okay, I don't know what that is. Build regular physical exercise into the lifestyle. I think somebody needs to mute. There we go. Hippocampus, cortisol, just a few other things to add that you can get more information on your own as to this blood flow cocktail. Few nutrients recommended in the book. They say 99% of us are deficient in omega-3s, and I've also read that omega-3 fatty acids are more powerful than Prozac for depression. And we've got green tea, resveratrol. But I just want to share this last thing here. These are some exercises that are phenomenal for blood flow. Look at the table tennis, which is ping pong, I guess, yoga, Pilates, Tai Chi, and then also the hyperbaric oxygen, which I think those chambers are quite expensive, but they have found phenomenal benefit if you can get away from the claustrophobia of laying in it. And then possibly also the Beamer, if any of you have that, are also known for blood flow. So just I'll leave that in. But let's go ahead now. I want to show you in case you're not familiar with all this. Let's go in, copy that, and go into another panel and load the cocktail.
Great harmony there with only 2 connections.
Really? Okay, I just kind of need to look closer, don't I? Okay, so let's just add our issues. Go down here to save as cocktail. I have this little more thing lined up, but I don't think that's a common blood flow. And then let's go into the find options. That do it?
Yeah, you spelled it wrong, Cathy.
I
You put
spelled
blood flow.
Didn't
So
I put?
that's you blow, BLOW, flow.
Oh. There we go.
Yeah.
Thank you. So as a group, we can see some of our areas. It looks like a little green tea wouldn't hurt. And now I can't remember what this BDNT stood for, but it was one of Dr. Amon's therapies. Somebody can Google it while we're doing this. I can't, or I may lose everybody. We do want to be aware of the stress, our adrenals being our focus today. In fact, we could go in. We know we're interested in Reiki today. So let's just go in and put adrenals. Okay, 40 minutes. We are asking for a ginkgo also, improve cognitive flexibility. We're asking for prayer and stress related to diabetes. So these are the add that in. And now we've got our 3 in reference to this, if we're doing the Tesla 369. Now, a couple of other things. This was, I want to show you, and we'll back up a little bit, working on a few other things in reference to this information from Dr. Amon's book. For example, this brain training scan, which I'm kind of, the cocktail was in there, but I'm and seeing what we can do with that. And then again, if you have a situation where there's a lot of stress, say depression or hyperactivity extreme, et cetera, here's a scan that could be done. Again, I'm still tweaking it to see if there's any information we need. I don't think she would mind saying we have the man, some of you may be working on Lewis, who is going through such a time out in Colorado. And what came up with this scan for him was a mold infection. And if you will pull that up and look at it, you'll see that when you are really exposed to mold, it can give you all the symptoms he's going through. It's fascinating. So his mother is now looking into that, and we're sending the codes as well. But then here is, again, on a more positive aspect, some things we can do every day to work with our own brain health. And so I did a scan earlier. Is this it? No. All right, that's not, I hope I didn't lose our scan. I may have. That's not good. No, here they are. Okay. So this is what's interesting that came up from our scan. First of all, recognize that thoughts lie. And you have a lot of crazy thoughts, most of which are beneath the surface, but we have some as well. Make sure I have the right one. Here we go.
What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? Thoughts lie.
Thoughts lie. You have thoughts pop in your head that are not really true. And we don't know energetically what prompts that.
Oh, okay.
But, you don't know. That is where that search, remove, clear, or the Silva mind control, cancel. So let's just douse that in. And just an awareness that just because it pops in your head, it may not be true. Challenge and eliminate automatic negative thinking, which again is part of that. That's just a habit some of us have, thinking the worst. And we're understanding, this group understands, but the collective is working maybe on understanding the power of their words and thoughts. Again, we've got a little stress at this moment in time, but we're going to work towards balancing that. The posture is a big deal. And again, we're talking about brain health, so this is something we can be aware of, our own posture.
Captain.
Yeah.
it's interesting you bring that thing up about thoughts, because every now and then I'll get thoughts in my mind, and I'll say to myself, what are you bringing that up for?
That's right. That is right. Well, you know, and we don't know the source of some of this. We know, for example, that 30 seconds of watching TV puts you in a trance. So we don't know.
Many years ago, I was a completely different person, and my daddy was always kind of negative, and I think that's where I picked up mine. And I convinced him to get Roth, and at the end I said, well, Daddy, how do you feel? He says, I feel like $1 million. It releases us emotions that are trapped. It's amazing if you get a really good Rother.
Yes. Hurts too. It can hurt.
It hurts so good, but when they finish releases, maybe you've had it. It's Dr. Tom West out in the Pinellas, their Pink Streets. The professor did mine.
Yes. Now look at this one too. Yeah, go. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
One of the other things that you can do for release of cellular memory, much less painful, is craniosacral therapy. Mm-hmm. It has the same effect of releasing anything that you've ever heard, anything that's ever you've done, or it's been, everything in your life is stored in the cellular memory of your body. And craniosacral therapy is another one of those therapies that releases without you having to go through the remembrance and the pain and suffering.
I ask a question. I don't mean to get too far off topic, but craniosacral therapy, not to be confused with craniomuscular manipulation, which I had, and I'm still having pain from it.
Yeah, no.
So I don't know the difference.
It's not the same. It's totally different.
Yeah.
Craniosacral therapy you can do with just energy flows from your fingers, which you can put on the body or just use above the body. Most everyone.
That's the way this is, I've had both, and that's the way this seems to go. But whoa, that's another.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, though, Karen, while you're on, can you mention that zone therapy?
Yes, there's a therapy that I'm going to be taking. It's called zone therapy, and you can Google it. Dr. Peter Goldman. There are points on the cranium, on the back of the head, 6 different points which deal with 6 different areas of the body, and they're having miraculous results from finding the place that is sore, that is the most tender on the back of the cranium, and then working with that zone in the body. And what it does is it reconnects the brain, communicating through the electrical system of the body. It reconnects where things are disconnected. And once that happens, then the body corrects itself.
Sounds really, really worth knowing more about. And so anyway, quickly going through the social media has done a number on our brains also, and it's like everything else. It's got some positives, got some negatives, but this shaming, which especially maybe not so much for this group, but for the young people, has been extremely derogatory. And of course, not to mention that part of our brain health is being with other people. We can't just do it all online. I wish we could all be together for these kind of things. Thankful for this technology, but a lot of people, this is their only contact with social media in the outside world, and we're seeing a lot of mental health problems arise from it. So again, just house that in. Doesn't look like it's a big deal for the group. This, I had added this, and you see it did scan in. And again, on Neville's awakened imagination, I know I personally know people that have had absolute miracles from this. What you do as he says, and this may be the gift the actual human species has as compared to even other planetary species. We are able to picture in our mind and create. And that they say, yes, they say that is actually what the soul is.
I discovered or late 70s, I should say. I've been with them all the way.
Oh, Neville is incredible. Most of his stuff is online free. He is amazing.
Super great.
Yes. So if you go to bed, let's say you needed to pay a bill, and you go to bed worried because you just didn't have the funds, go to bed and picture in your mind your day again, and imagine pay it. It's the darndest. That first night, yes, it is so exciting. Neville was amazing. And then we have, pardon me?
What was his last name?
Neville Goddard. They called him Neville, but it's Neville Goddard. And you can find his books and I believe just about everything for free. He went around, at least America, in the 50s or 60s.
Yeah.
And he lived on the islands. And he went around and spoke. I think he had a fairly good following. He was definitely ahead of his time. And I have a lot of friends that just when they're discouraged, they go in and read one of his books are little. The one I read that changed my life was literally named Awakened Imagination.
Yes, that is a very good book.
Yes, it was a life changer for me. And so now we're dowsing in just to balance the brain and the nervous system. And then finally, this is a real interesting thought, is that if you really want good brain health, help others. And that's mentioned across the board in almost anything you look at. And what they find out is that, you could actually tap in and pull in great riches and all these wonderful things. But if you don't use what you understand to help other people, they say you still are going to have an inner void. So let's just douse that in and see where we are as a group. And douse it up.
One other thing, Cathy, you can find Neville on YouTube.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely. And then we can go down here to sense of purpose. That's another big one. It came up last, but as Ralph said, sometimes we need to check that. Let's just see priority for Chi. Sense of purpose. And we know it's a priority for Chi, but is receiving the code at this time? Not necessarily. We see serotonin. Nope. So usually we get an idea. Today it looks like we're pretty much getting our energy, from the top things. Now, I have been going in and once you get in the habit of this, it doesn't take long. And doing some brain charges. So, for example, I just keep adding them. This is one, if I can get down here, let's look at nourished brain cells. But what you want to do, go in here first and see if this is a priority for Chi. And just see, and go down the list. I go back and forth, and you can easily do this once you get in the habit. It is 66, not quite. Let's look at another one quickly. Do just one more. You see that once you've got the name in here, load charge, brain. Let's look at this mold biotoxins. Okay, so we'll take that one. I will say we got a lot of charging over the weekend, and this is one we seem to want. So load, brain. Let's see. Yeah, this is going to take a while to load because I have the image with it. But let's go in and see. 1 minute charge. No. And again, because the supercharger and the regular charger doesn't have an auto, it might not be a bad idea to check this. Three is at a 90. Let's see if that's our max. Every now and then you get one that's 100% benefit. See, at 4, it goes down. So that would be a little bit too much. Look at that. There we are, a little higher, 5 minutes. So what you'll see as you continue to do this is the need for it won't be as great. So let's just go in here now. And we're keeping this one simple. Let's just see with the blood flow. Yeah. In, reserve, options, and controls. But since we've already got a wonder click going, let's just see. We want just the wonder click again here, so let's do it. And then also this MMS, I don't know who was on the call when we were speaking of this a little earlier. I did some testing this weekend, and it does look like we want the real deal when it comes to MMS. We can send the energy of it with the sustenance balance or some of the other tools, but when we actually benefit much more from having the real thing. And Mary, you were saying it looks like a pain in the neck, but it actually isn't.
Yeah, it's not very hard. I take a shot glass, an ounce, put 3 drops on the bottom of I've got the 2 that you mix. So I put the MMS on the bottom and then the ascorbic acid, let it set for just a minute, and then you fill that up with water, put that into an 8-ounce glass, fill that up with water, and you just drink sips. And it is bad if you take too much. Like if you try to take the whole glass, depending on where your body is, that might be too much, even diluted. So just a couple sips to try, and then dump the rest out. Don't try to save it.
Mary,
Yeah.
I heard you cannot take any other supplements when you're doing that protocol. Is that true?
I never stopped mine.
Oh, okay, thanks.
So, I might depend on what supplement you take. I basically only take a multivitamin, so.
Yeah, test yourself. I know in the book he says you may not be able to. But that's, again, each of us is unique. So if you test yourself, that might be one way, either with your pendulum or the SRC dowser or muscle testing, or what that all is geared towards is your own intuition anyway. But it's very possible that we as Americans are taking too many supplements and we're getting some toxicity. I know I myself, knowing people who've had a lot of illnesses, you go to their house, the counters are covered with supplements. So that may not be the best approach. And also, Ron was saying before we got started, that little song, are you up to repeating that, Ron? But
Say
you know,
that again?
are you up for repeating that little song
yeah,
you pressed
yeah.
before?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Little cell in my body is happy. Every little cell in my body is well. Every little cell in my body is happy. Every little cell in my body is well. I'm so glad. Every little cell in my body is well. I'm so glad. Every little cell in my body is well. Every little cell in my body is happy. Every little cell in my body is well. Every little cell in my body is happy. Every little cell in my body is well. I'm so glad. Every little cell in my body is happy and well. I'm so glad. Every little cell in my body is happy and well.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Yay.
Good job. Good job.
I think we should give that a shot.
I'm sorry. That sounds like a great intention.
Yes, it
That
does.
is-
Yes, it
Now you
does.
say that to yourself, and your cells
Yes.
will respond.
I
Yes,
thought you'd
I
like
love
that.
Love it.
Thank you, Ron.
So anyway, well that's it. But if y'all gave us some sites to get the MMS, does it come to you off the top of your head, or could you email it to me later? Does anybody?
Yeah.
If
Okay, I'm
you
sorry.
can tell me off the top of your head, I'll put it in our notes for today. If
I'll
not,
have to look. My
just
that computer crashed. Otherwise, I could give you a bunch of them.
I'll send it to you,
I'll
Cathy.
have to.
all right, yeah, I'll wait to hear before I send all this out. But that's it for today.
I got two questions.
Oh, good. Yeah.
On the cranial sacral, I wanted to know if it could help with deviated septum. If you're still on.
I would say yes, because it generally when people have gone through stuff like that, it's just amazing that the one place that they can get attention in a good way is from the craniosacral, because it's really just about blocked energy a lot of time.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say it can support it. I don't know if you can completely do it, but yeah, I would say it could support it.
Could you?
May I ask a question?
Cathy, a link of how you can find out if there's a therapist in your
You can just look it up in your area. There is a guy in Sarasota, but he wasn't as good, and I actually ended up in Nashville with a gal that used to be in Sarasota, and she was utterly fantastic. I know there's somebody else maybe further south from Sarasota, so you might just have to look it up. You can find them though.
I'm in South Carolina. I was looking at, just hadn't found anybody.
And now I can believe it, because my daughter's in Augusta, Georgia, and there's nobody around with massage or any of that stuff. But yeah, and you might just be, I don't know how close you are to North Carolina, but you might just be able to go over the border and there's stuff, because North Carolina because they have a massage school in North Carolina, so I think they have more access. Yeah, they're not as easy to find, but man, are they great. That's my favorite.
Excuse me. Have you heard anything about craniosacral for, let's say, neurological problems?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it really helps.
It's
It helps
very
everything.
effective for neurological problems.
Okay.
I am a craniosacral therapist, and I've worked with somato-emotional release. I've also worked as an assistant in some of the classes for the Upledger Institute when they've given workshops.
Oh, wow.
And there's not too much that cannot be addressed with craniosacral therapy, just like other modalities. You know, they span a wide bridge of things. And the nervous system, neurological, of course, are very good. It's good for mental and even spiritual well-being.
Thank you. There's a lady that I know who they're giving her steroids for neurological problems instead of surgery. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Well, and Karen is in Inverness. She's here in Florida. So anybody wants to come see me, we'll drive up to see her if she has availability.
Okay. Where in Florida do you live?
I'm about 50 miles north of Tampa in Citrus County.
Oh, wow. Okay. No, this lady is
just
up
off
in
of-
Lake Mary.
Just US 41 runs through Inverness, and my office is just off of US 41 in downtown Inverness.
Oh, wow. Okay. Thank you so much, Karen, for that information.
Yes.
Yeah, that's great to know.
Also, just a mental note, the cranial sacral is also very good for infants because they say the ultrasound is so traumatic.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And
And
for migraines, I remember for migraines, it was wonderful too.
Yeah. So, okay, that's it for
Thank
today.
you.
We'll see
Thank
you all
you.
tomorrow.
Thank you, Kathy,
Yeah,
again.
thank you. Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Thanks, Kathy.
Take care.
Thank you for attending Cathy's Zoom call for September 27th, 2021. We look forward to seeing you again. Till then, take care and be well.